see? Because the others are waiting to see how the Christians behave. And when they see the Christians behaving like Jesus did, who was the Son of God and had the rights of a son, and yet gave them up, and gave up his place with his Father and humbled himself and became a servant. When they see us behaving like Jesus Christ did, they believe. They always did want to. They did. There are millions of people hoping it is true. And they will believe if we start behaving like Jesus. The poor of the world, I'm still reading those statements. The poor of the world are a major concern. The vast majority of the people yet to be evangelized are poor. I was sharing about this in a certain place and saying, well, it's fine that we've got these learn to read programs for all the as-yet unevangelized nations so that they're all going to be able to read the notes we prepared for them to understand about Jesus so they can grow up and that's great. But meantime, what about the grannies? Now, I'm not too sure about this kind of thing. But I guess it may be true that there are quite a lot of grannies who can't read. Is that true? No? All the grannies can read? All the grannies can read? All the grannies can read? Not the married ones, thanks. I rather thought that was true. You didn't know that? Well, one person knows one granny at least. And if a rather large proportion of the world, and it is a rather large proportion of the world, there are heaps of grannies who are never going to learn to read. There isn't time before they die. We're going to have to find another way to reach them. Well, I posed this question at this particular place, and I was terribly disappointed afterwards. And obviously I hadn't said it very well because this young man came up to me afterwards and he said, I've heard what you've said about old people who can't read. And he said, I want to tell you that a group of us have been praying for 10 years and we've got a wonderful computer program for teaching people how to read. And I said, well, that's most interesting. I suppose you're going to have to need to get the people who can't read together somewhere and put them into a room with computers. Right. You're going to need to buy the computers, of course. Right. Okay, I said, is it in English, this program? He said, yes, so far. It's taken us 10 years to work out the English program. But he said it wouldn't be too difficult. You could teach them to speak English first. So they could learn the computer program, so they could get educated, so they could read the Bible notes, so they could grow up in Jesus. No, friends, he was serious. I'm sure he didn't understand me. And he was serious. God bless him. Now, anybody who's prayed for any project for 10 years will be blessed. God bless him. No, really. But we are going to have to find other ways to reach the poor, the grand who can't read, who won't understand this month's Bible notes as a follow-up. And it's very simple. You'll reach them by being Jesus. You want to reach the poor? You want to reach the grands who can't read? Pray for them when they're sick. They'll always be sick. Pray for them. And you know what happens when they get back better? Think of a whole lot of grannies in a very poor place. And they live in bed spaces. They really are bed spaces. That means they have a bed. And then there's a bunk bed on top. And they keep all their belongings on the bed. There's nowhere to cook. There's no toilet. Just all these grannies crowded together because they've got no sons or grandchildren. And if you have no sons, well, of course, you're nothing to live on. So all these grannies living in these bed spaces. And we got to start visiting the grands when we were visiting the street sleepers and pray for the grannies when they got bad wrists. They didn't make them be Christians first, but they believed in Jesus as they were healed. And then the next time they bring along the other granny. They say, my wrist got healed. Will you pray for this one? She's got a bad knee. They queue up. They queue up. Because Jesus has touched them where they hurt. This is a fun way to preach the gospel. And it's a way that the poor will understand that Jesus touches them where they hurt. I just want to read you, or I beg your pardon, chapter 16. Any of you think you know what Sodom did wrong to get destroyed? It's a non-free city. Yeah, but you don't like the sound of the word Sodom. And know that it was a city that was destroyed. I'm going to read you now why Sodom was destroyed. In Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 49. Now this was the sin of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters were arrogant, overfed, and unconcerned. They did not help the poor and needy. They were haughty and did detestable things before me. Therefore I did away with them, as you have seen. I just found that one the other day. I was shocked. I thought that Sodom got destroyed for another reason. But here it says she was destroyed because she was arrogant, overfed, and unconcerned, and did not help the poor and needy. Cried. And here is the opposite. Often is very good. Because here is a king. He was commended by the Lord. In Jeremiah 22:16, it says, he defended the cause of the poor and needy, and so all went well. Is that not what it means to know me? Says the Lord. What a commendation for a king. He defended the cause of the poor and needy, and so all went well. Start with the poor. Because what happens as we preach to the poor, or I should say, correctly, preach with the poor, because I must identify myself with them, is that the others get reached too. Luke 4, verse 18, you all know these verses very well. I'm sure in New Zealand this has to be an oft-quoted one. This has to be one that you've heard in your baptism of the Spirit service or your whatever. Jesus came after having been baptized in water, the Spirit comes upon him, and he goes into the synagogue and he lifts up the scroll like that and says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to plant 500 churches in 10 years in every major city of the world. 20 television stations. We convene the gospel. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. It's where he started. If it's where he started, should we not start there? I lived a bunch of pick for his disciples. And that has to be comforting for you and me, right? They have to be comforting. What a bunch of losers. I mean, right up until the end, too. Still fighting for who's going to be pastor and assistant pastor and got the chairs on the platform and all that junk. Struggling. Love them anyway. Another reason why I believe that the quickest way to reach the